right, Stewart, I'm shocked. I am shocked that you don't understand why people like me and millions of other Americans are upset, annoyed, and looking for answers that a guy like Common would be entertained at the White House.
Now, when you say a guy like Common, what kind of guy is that?
Okay, let me just throw you out my best shot.
All right.
Okay?
Here we go.
Common last year traveled to Cuba, all right, to meet with Joanne Chesimard, who was convicted of killing a New Jersey state trooper.
Right, I'm familiar with the story.
After the meeting, Common said, quote, this was just last year, damn, this was somebody who fought for my freedom. This is a cop killer. This is a woman who gunned down, along with two other accomplices, a woman who is a member of the Black Liberation Army, who they found 16 live rounds in her purse, in her car. And this guy thinks she's great.
Thinks she's innocent.
No. She's great.
Well, but also
this was somebody who fought for my freedom. It made me want to do better in life.
I can't speak for him because I'm not him.
Yes.
I don't think.
Not yet.
I can rap. I rapped on the show, and I think it was pretty impressive. So you'll have to ask him, and I'm sure you have. Have you contacted him to have him come on?
Look, I don't really care about Common. I have to be quite frank. I care about the President of the United States.
Okay.
All right? And this
here's the distinction I would make. Here's the distinction I would make.
Okay.
You are saying that he is celebrating a cop killer or promoting cop killing.
No, I'm not saying he's promoting cop killing.
Well, people on your network are.
Let's just speak to me.
All right, I'm talking to you.
Celebrating a cop killer, yes.
Okay. Here's the only distinction I would make there, and I can't speak for him. What I think he's doing is not celebrating, but honoring someone he thinks was wrongly convicted of cop killing. I think he believes she was convicted unjustly.
Okay.
Now, again.
So that's fine. And if Common wasn't even born when this crime took place, thinks that based on nothing because the evidence is overwhelming, all right, he's entitled as an American to do that. The President of the United States, though, takes him into the House, all right, thereby validating him. Come on, that was a bad decision. It was a bad decision.
You're saying that by having him at the White House, that, in essence, was tacit approval of everything he's ever done.
No.
To some extent.
It validates him, all right?
As an individual.
It elevates him
as an individual.
As a poet or whatever. Do you know how many poets would have liked to have been there?
Let me ask you a question.
No. Let me ask you a question.
All right.
Why was he selected, in your opinion? Why did he get that honor, in your opinion?
Because I think he's not defined as an artist by this Assata Shakur case.
This is big.
I think he's defined. Well, I think it probably isn't as big in his career as you might think it is.
Look, when the president
or as defining. But let me go to a different point, if I may. It sounds like what you're saying is, and correct me if I'm wrong, and I don't want to be wrong when I'm with you, because you know I got mad love for you. That's a rap phrase.
I got it.
All right. Correct me if I'm wrong. What you're saying is, if an artist supports someone that has been convicted of killing a cop, they should not be allowed to go to the White House. Is that a reasonable paraphrase?
No, it's a little bit more than that.
Okay, say it again.
I am saying that when a president invites someone, in this case the First Lady invites someone, the resume has to be put in front of them. And they have to select people who are almost unimpeachable, all right, because they're getting that honor to go to the White House. This guy is controversial all day long with this stuff. Not only did he support this cop killer or celebrate the cop killer, he celebrated another one in Philadelphia.
Again, I make the distinction. He's not celebrating a cop killer. He's celebrating someone he thinks was unjustly. He's not celebrating.
Is this Perry Nason we're talking about now? Is this the most brilliant lawyer of all time?
Who?
Common.
Common. Well, let me ask you a question.
On.
Are you familiar with Leonard Peltier?
Yes.
Okay. Leonard Peltier was convicted of killing two FBI
All right, now we're
agents.
going on to Wounded Knee.
Okay.
All right? Why are we going to Wounded Knee?
Because I think it's an analogous situation.
All right, and that's a big word for me.
Is it analogous?
Me with big words.
I don't mean to. It's similar.
Uh-huh.
All right.
No, it's not.
Why is it not?
Because you're pettifogging the issue. This is a simple issue.
What am I pettifogging?
This is a simple issue.
And pettifogging is kind of a larger word than analogous, but go ahead.
Okay. You're pettifogging
it's more of an Inspector
the
Gadget
issue.
word.
By making another analogy that doesn't really have anything to do.
It's the exact same thing. It's a guy convicted of killing a law enforcement official, no?
It's a
Was he
totally different thing
convicted?
because the
Why?
President of the United States is not involved.
Oh, well, let me get him involved for you.
Okay, you do that, and then you can come back and talk about Leonard.
Common wrote a song about Assata Shakur, someone he feels was unjustly convicted of killing a cop. Guess who wrote a song about Leonard Peltier, someone that they thought was unjustly convicted of killing a cop?
Who?
He was on your show. You said he was doing God's work. Want to know his name?
Yeah.
Bono.
Okay.
Guess where he was? The White House.
That's an interesting point.
Booyah!
All right.
That's a rap word.
Okay. Did Bono
Yes.
basically come out and say that Leonard Peltier, okay, did he actually come out and say that he was innocent?
I think that's the crux of the song.
No, I think it was raising questions about it. And the basic theme.
Now who's pettifogging? Now
Okay,
I can't even
look,
see you through your pettifog. No, that is exactly the same.
Okay.
Bob Dylan wrote a song
Yeah.
about a convicted killer named Hurricane Carter. He's been to the White House. Why are you drawing the line at Common is my question. And that was the point of the bit that we did, Bill. And the point of it is this. There is a selective outrage machine here at Fox that pettifogs only when it suits the narrative that suits them.
Look.
And you do it every time. This guy is in the crosshairs in a way that he shouldn't be. Whether you agree with him or not, you may think he's ignorant in believing that Assata Shakur is innocent. You may think he's ignorant in believing that Mumia is. But then guess what? Bono can't go to the White House. Springsteen can't go to the White House. Bob Dylan can't go to the White House. You got a lot of people that aren't allowed to sit in the White House because they've written songs about people convicted of murder, specifically cop killing. And I'll give you another one.
Wait, let me reply. Okay. So you say that because Bono, Springsteen, and Bob Dylan wrote songs defending people who were accused of heinous things,
yes,
that I have to give Common a pass because he did the same thing.
You have to be consistent with your outrage.
Let me give you...
Be consistent.
I will. Common visited, went to see.
So what if Bono went to see Leonard Peltier?
In Cuba last year. And
so now that's your line? You're putting yourself in a smaller and smaller box.
I'm not.
So this guy is worthy of it because he actually visited. Well, guess what?
Yeah.
When you first started this story on Fox, nobody even knew about that Assata Shakur. You spent a 24-hour infection
I didn't even
cycle.
mention this. The first time I mentioned it was this.
Okay.
This was my whole thing.
All right, but I'm talking about your entire...
But you can't do that because unlike...
Why not?
Because unlike Comedy Central, we have a lot of different opinions on this network, not just lockstep liberalism like on your network.
All your hosts seem to go in the same direction.
No, not all. I have a completely different take than many of the others do.
You're very different than Hannity. Hannity just said...
Hannity is Hannity. O'Reilly's O'Reilly. Shepard Smith said to me, I like Common. We have a lot of diversity here.
I don't know the guy. Here's what I'm saying.
You have said you
had a guy on your network say this proves Barack Obama is anti-police. That's what he said.
Then you can destroy that argument.
I did.
Here.
So why did you call me?
I called you because you are not seeing the big picture about Barack Obama inviting a guy who says this about a convicted cop killer.
President Bush invited Bono, who said that about a convicted cop killer. He wrote a song called Native Son.
It doesn't matter. This guy said, quote...
It's the same thing.
No, it isn't.
Why?
Because this guy said after visiting this woman in Cuba, damn, this was somebody who fought for my freedom.
When did you find that out?
We knew this research before we went ahead with the story.
Why didn't you mention it last night? And by the way, I don't agree with you that that's what puts it over the top. I completely disagree with you.
This makes it beyond a reasonable doubt.
Oh, please.
Oh, come on. You know this guy is sympathizing with two cop killers.
I don't know
You know that.
I don't know him. He believes they were unjustly convicted. That's what I imagine this is. He doesn't.
So you just whipped this visit to Cuba, you put it in your little drawer, it never happened.
No, it happened.
Okay, that's enough for a sitting president to say, you know what? This guy might be radioactive. I'm not doing it.
If someone visited Reuben Hurricane Carter in jail, if someone visited Leonard Peltier because they believed he was wrongly convicted of that crime, let me ask you a question. G. Gordon Liddy has been on your show many times.
No, he hasn't.
Well, he's been on this network many times.
Okay.
In the Randy Weaver case, after the ATF stormed that facility, right? When he was talking about the ATF, do you know what he said on his radio show? He said, if they break down your doors Don't shoot them here because they're wearing protective gear. Shoot for the head.
Was that before or after Liddy made the gold commercial? Okay. You see, your craziness, that you bring this stuff in, it has nothing to do.
It's the exact same thing. Right. What you're saying is people need to be vetted.
Let me
but
put you in the White House.
You only vet. Here's why you vet this guy. Because he fits the Fox narrative of Barack Obama as a Marxist, black liberation theologist, socialist that's not like the regular folk, you and I, just normal white folk.
So you think that this was a good decision to invite comment?
No.
You think this was a good decision?
I don't think anything. I think that
it was okay with you
to invite comment to the White House.
Okay.
I don't know enough about this guy.
You're dodging, but now I'm going to make you president of the United States.
Right.
Ooh, wait, I just shudder when right through.
But let me ask you.
No. It's my turn now, and then you can ask.
I don't believe that a person's opinion on one case or another. I'll ask you another one. Can I ask the question?
Whose show is this? This is the Fox News channel. I'll ask, then you can ask. Okay. I'm making you president of the United States, which is just
Every time
insane.
I come here, you make me president of the United States.
It's insane, I know. But all right. So you're sitting there, and you know on your resume, okay, you already have Reverend Wright. You got Bill Ayers, okay? And then a guy named Common comes in, and you know...
You mean that Fox News has already put these people as... They've basically connected the dots as though these are the most influential people in my
you
life.
have a history of associating with dubious people. You know that. I know it. Everybody knows it. And then you say, you know what? It's a good idea to bring in a guy who sympathizes with a cop killer. Let's bring him into Poetry Def Jam White House.
Let's go back
Do you think that's a good decision?
Here's what I think. I think Common believes that this woman
You're
was
the president.
Unjustly,
Will you make that call?
Can I be honest with you?
Yeah, please.
If I'm the president and I'm booking my own poetry slams, throw me out of office.
Okay.
Because I would believe as president,
with pleasure,
I would have things to do.
Okay.
Rather than go over the list
how about your
of
guys?
Poetry slammers.
How about your guys? You already have Wright. You already have Ayers.
Here's what I would think.
You already have Bernadette Dorn.
Here's what I would
so let's bring in Common.
Here's what I would think.
Let a quartet.
It's a poetry slam. Who gives a crap?
A lot of people do. You know how many police officers? You heard the police officer on this program. This is National Police Week.
You know what, Bill? Let's do something nice for police, for National Police Week. You and I. Together, let's agree on something. Rather than worrying about what this guy thinks about a woman that he believes may not have. Now, I trust the system probably more than most people and should. But I trust it usually. But he doesn't, and the African-American community has a very different relationship with the police, especially in the 70s, than you and I do. So putting that aside, let's agree on something we can do for National Police Week, and that's this. Let's have us agree to promote a reinstatement of the ban on assault weapons, because that doesn't celebrate killing cops metaphorically or figuratively. It tries to get weapons that kill cops literally off the streets.
As you know,
that's important.
This
is
if you've ever
nothing.
done any research.
No, you do support it.
Correct.
I'm saying, and why don't you get the entire apparatus here?
The apparatus.
The infection machine that is the overreaction.
You mean the diverse opinions that we have here? Unlike your network?
You have not a diversity of opinion.
Oh, stop.
You bring in people like Combs so you can beat him around the head with pillows.
I see.
But you don't have diverse opinion.
Is Combs, he has no defense mechanism here? He's kind of just like, Combs is a smart guy.
He's a very smart guy.
He actually likes you, which...
I like him as well. He's a very kind of. Can I say this? I like you as well. It saddens me to see you wasting your time.
Can I say this?
On these types of things.
Can I see this?
Yes.
I think you're a smart guy. I think you have a blind spot.
What is the blind spot? When it
comes to common sense, this was a bad decision by the White House.
Maybe. It wasn't worthy of what...
It was a bad decision.
You put on the headlines on Fox News. Karl Rove called him a thug and a misogynist.
The cop called him a mutt. Okay.
The cop called him a mutt.
Yeah.
Everybody's entitled to their opinion.
Correct.
But
the
what
police
I'm saying
feel
is,
very strongly about this.
That guy does.
No, the police do.
Do they feel more strongly about that or assault weapons?
I think they feel it probably in the same category.
Well, I don't know that that's the case.
Okay. Now, let's get on to politics.
What?
All right? Oh, I want to talk to you a little politics. All right. Now,
And by the way, songs are not literal. You know that, right?
Oh, stop.
Like
He goes to Cuba.
when the
Stop
weather
with it.
girls
Stop with
sing
it.
"It's Raining Men," it's not really precipitation
I got
of
that.
males.
All right.
It's a metaphor.
Stop attacking the Weather Girls. They're one of my favorite groups.
Are they really?
Yeah, I love them.
You would not believe.
And the Weather Girls, by
Do you
the
know
way?
the Weather Girls support Jeffrey Dahmer?
I was just going to say.
They went and visited him.
No,
and
you're
they
lying.
said
that's two
they said
defamations on the Weather
They
Girls.
said this man thought he was eating a hoagie.
Okay. This is horrible, what you're doing to the Weather Girls right now.
All right.
And if I were them, I'd sue your ass off.
I apologize.
Okay.
This
Are there
is
any-
kind of fun, though, is it not?
Yeah, it's delightful.
And my frustration is not with you. Again, it's watching the entire system.
I know. You
in
loathe
action.
the network, but you kind of loathe me
I
a
don't-
little less. I got it.
No, I don't even loathe
Let's
you
talk
at all.
politics.
I actually enjoy your company. I feel like we should get together outside of this weirdly egg-shaped table.
Okay, let's not push it. Presidential politics, Republican side. Any Republican possible candidate that you like, that you respect? Do we have music that we can put under Stewart?
That I like?
Yeah, that you respect, that you
I
think
like,
might be
I
a good
like
leader.
a few. I mean, like them personally?
No,
or
that
like
would be a
them-
good president.
That would be a good president?
Yeah. Doot, 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 doot. Anybody out of the 50,000 that may run a run. Doot, doot.
Well, look, again, the standards for presidenting, I don't expect the president to be a superhero. I would imagine that Tim Pawlenty seems like a reasonably logical
Tim
individual.
Pawlenty. Are you willing to endorse now?
Endorse?
Yeah, Pawlenty.
Well, right now I'm looking at whose campaign to help run. I think he seems like a reasonable guy.
Has he been on your program?
Mitt
Pawlenty?
Romney looks like if you were to open a box labeled president and pulled something out, it would look like Mitt Romney. So I guess I would enjoy
He's
that.
got hair like you. Guys got the same
Little
kind of
salt
hair.
and pepper.
It goes up a lot.
Little salt and pepper. And we're both Mormons. So there you go.
So,
Or wait, I'm Jewish.
Is that an
I know it was
endorsement of
something.
Romney? Do you like his policies? Do you think he's a good leader?
I thought that he didn't do terribly for Massachusetts, as I think Pawlenty actually was a little worse for Minnesota than maybe Romney, I think, was for Massachusetts. And I look at their executive experience, and I tend to think that executives tend to make good presidents because they've had that experience.
All right, so Pawlenty and Romney, because they did okay in their respective states, you would consider them
Sure.
as viable candidates.
I would absolutely consider them as viable candidates.
Sarah Palin. She was a governor and high approval
I'm sorry,
ratings.
you know what? I think my earpiece went out.
Yeah,
I didn't hear
Sarah
it.
Palin, governor of Alaska,
there's a lot
left
of-
office with high approval rating.
I'm sure she did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then they got to know her.
No, see, she left with high approval rating. She
All
was
right.
in there.
Fair enough.
Like her?
I am not a particular fan of her style of rhetoric.
Which is?
Very visceral and emotional, and very, I would call it snarky in a manner that is not befitting of a candidate of that nature. I think she's too thin-skinned.
Sounds like Colbert you're describing.
Colbert, I would actually endorse for president. I think he would. I think he would be.
When I heard the word snarky, it just came into my mind.
She is reminiscent to me much more of a television personality than a politician, because I think that her inability to get past slights, it makes it very difficult to like. I would just imagine her at night, just with the hands going, "Did you see that thing that Marcel, that Stu?"
Yeah, I think
think
she's sensitive. There's no doubt about it.
Right.
Newt Gingrich. Hello, hi.
Yeah, listen, he has definitely his head is large enough that you imagine there are great ideas in there, but it's so big it's almost like they're free range ideas, and I don't know if he could actually herd them and gather them and take them in. I think that Newt does not have presidents tend to be very charismatic individuals, and I'm not suggesting that he is uncharismatic, but he doesn't. When you meet George Bush, when you meet Barack Obama, when you meet Bill Clinton, you feel them. There's a certain...
In a literal sense.
In a literal sense, some of them. Sarah Palin has that, by the way. She has that sort of star quality and charisma.
Absolutely.
I feel like he doesn't. He would be an excellent guy who stands behind the president going, yes.
But you don't hate him like the New York Times. They loathe him.
Oh, I don't, again, I feel like this country is stronger than any individual you can throw at it. So I don't hate any of these people. And I don't think personally that the damage they can do is so drastic and so great that we would ever be run off course by one individual.
Okay. James Buchanan comes to mind, but I'm not going to go back. Right? All right.
You are old.
I am, and I'm ancient.
All right.
How about Donald Trump?
I pray.
For or against?
That he runs.
You'd like him?
The man puts his name on everything he has. The only other people in the world that do that are 6-year-olds. Like that for a comedian, he has his name on a helicopter. Who puts your name on a helicopter? Does he lose it in the parking lot? Like what? Why would you have your name on a helicopter? He has silly hair and crazy thoughts. That, to me, I mean, he spends, before he runs for president, he spends his day arbitrating arguments between Meatloaf and Gary Busey. For me,
that could be good in diplomacy, though.
I could put another wing on my house if that guy runs. I'd be honored.
So you're not taking him seriously?
No.
You don't take any of these guys seriously, though.
That's
you mock
probably
them all. Right.
Because I think, unfortunately, the system that we've got makes it harder and harder for people to govern effectively, because so much of their time is spent running.
I actually agree with that.
You do, don't you?
Yeah.
Look at you now.
I know.
Becoming very comfortable with me. You don't want me to leave. You want this date to go on forever.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. Is there anybody else in play there on the Republican side? Oh, yeah, Michelle Bachmann. Michelle Bachmann?
Yes. I think that if Sarah Palin doesn't run,
yes,
Michelle Bachmann could definitely put on that blazer and try and sneak in there in costume. I think that she is.
I can tell you like her just by your face. You don't want to admit it though, because your left-wing audience would then despise you. You like her. Look at Stewart. He likes Michelle Bachmann.
I like the fact that when she did her State of the Union address, which was, I guess, the third of the night, that she never looked directly into the camera that was recording her. So I kind of got a kick out of that. Because you had the sense that she thought she was being interviewed by America as she gave her thing. She was just doing one of these.
Now, this is just a treasure trove, this whole presidential run for you and your 18,000 writers.
That's right.
This is just unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
The Holy Grail.
It's no rapper invited to the White House in terms of a boon.
No,
we don't get. It's not.
Big.
It's not that kind of juice. Why won't you have comment? Have you asked him to come?
Of course we've asked him,
and he doesn't. He doesn't want to do it.
We can't find him. We don't know where he is.
Those radicals. Probably lives in a jungle with Che Guevara. Who knows?
Oh, you said it, not me.
I know.
Okay. Now, on the other side, Barack Obama. You've criticized the president. You said he's let you down a couple of times when he didn't do a far left thing that you wanted.
How far left am I? I'm curious.
It depends on the night. It depends on the ratings. It depends who you're talking to.
You really don't know much about me, do you?
And I don't want to.
All right.
No, that's not nice. It's not. Stuart's nice to come in here. But would there ever be a scenario where you could see not voting for Barack Obama and voting for a Republican?
Sure.
And what would that be? What would Barack Obama have to be beside kicking you in the head?
What would he have to be?
What would he have to do?
If I didn't have a clear sense of the direction that he wanted to move the country in, and somebody else had a more logical sense of where to take it.
So you're an open-minded guy on this?
Well, I don't think I would ever be able to convince you of that, but yeah. I consider myself...
Millions of people are watching, and I'm asking the questions that they want to know about you. Right now, grade President Obama going into the campaign.
Oh, I don't do that. I don't know.
The Jon Stewart scale of how much you voted for him, has he lived up to your expectations?
No.
Yes.
But I don't know if I don't know if my expectations were fair to that individual. I believed that we were at a more transformative time, and but I've come to respect a certain steadiness of his craft that I don't necessarily agree with. I think he had an opportunity more in the Reagan mold to be a little bit more of a bully pulpit president than what he appears to be, which is more of a Tip O'Neill president, like a legislative worker, more of someone who understands a bureaucratic method as opposed to something that's more, Teddy Roosevelt, Ronald Reagan type.
I didn't understand a word of that, but it sounded really good.
Is that true?
I'll ask you the last
question. I just threw in a bunch of names.
Yeah, I have no idea what you said.
I thought he was more of a Woodrow Wilson.
Here is the most important question of the interview.
Sagittarius.
Are you ready for this? Okay, you ready for this question? I have no idea what you're talking about. All right.
How long are you going to squeeze the comment thing, by the way? And how long? I mean, do you feel like in any way was the network in any way unfair to him? Do you think
this network?
Yeah,
we have a lot of diversity of opinion. We have a lot of diversity.
Was it fair to put up his name and say, White House defends cop killer rapper? Was that fair?
I don't know what they do. I can't do that. But I had 2 women come on after I lambasted him saying that he was okay. So I'm trying to be fair, and I have you on. I'm trying to be fair to the guy.
And here's the thing. Don't know him. I'm just saying, be consistent with your outrage.
Okay.
If Sean Hannity wants to get upset about violent lyrics, then he shouldn't defend Ted Nugent standing on stage holding an assault rifle saying Obama should suck the end of this.
That's between you and him, okay? You don't condemn a whole network for one guy. And that way, I'd condemn Comedy Central because of Colbert. And it wouldn't be fair.
If it was just one guy, I wouldn't.
Okay. This is the most important question. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
All right. Is Ashton Kutcher going to be able to replace Charlie Sheen effectively in 2.5 Men?
What?
And that I really, that.
Well, I don't even know what that means.
Ashton Kutcher, he's married to Demi Moore.
I know who that is.
And he runs around with a little phone or something he sells. He's going to get Charlie Sheen's job.
With a little phone that he sells?
Yeah, these commercials. He's going to get Charlie Sheen's job. Did you know that?
Which, the 2.5 Men?
Yeah, the little thing. You didn't know that?
No, I didn't.
You gotta get.
Here's what I don't understand.
Yeah.
Why all the surus about saving 2.5 Men? Like in terms of it, like why can't they just let that thing die?
You can't let it.
Why? When Charlie Sheen leaves, like what is the cultural impact of just going like, hey, 2.5 Men had a good run, Sheen left.
No,
so
you can't. You have to have that show on the air.
Oh, is that true?
Yeah, you can't. The cultural collapse.
All right.
But here's what I say: I don't want Ashton Kutcher.
All right. Fair enough.
You know who I want to play that part?
I feel like I have to take the antagonistic role here and say, what? You're crazy. He's perfect.
Okay. You have no idea what's going on, but you know who I want to play that role? Charlie Sheen's role? You know?
Emilio Estevez.
Close. Common. Big. How big would that be? How huge?
How did you wrap that around? By the way, you know who vetted Common and found him to be okay?
Who?
Elmo.
Elmo did?
He appeared with Elmo.
Okay, now you slandered the Weather Girls, now you're slandering Elmo.
He appeared with Elmo.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, the guy is not, you picked the wrong guy. He was in a Queen Latifah rom-com.
All right.
It's not the guy you think.
I appreciate you coming in here.
I'm a very nice man to
You're
do
a stand-up guy. No, you're a stand-up guy.
I will always defend,
it.
you know this. I will always defend my positions. I don't put this out there lightly.
No. The thing I like about you is you do take cheap shots all the time, but you defend those cheap shots.
Let me tell you
do
something.
It very well.
That's not the only thing you like about me. Your respect for me grows in leaps and bounds in a way. You're like the Grinch right after he realized they don't need presents for Christmas when you see me. Your heart grows to dimensions you didn't even know about. I'm like a shot of Levittown right in your ass like a B-12. Boom. You love it. You love me because you know we're the same people.
I think I'm going to commit suicide. Jon Stewart, everyone.